Bluey is nearly flawless. Almost. But once you notice the animation slip-ups, you just can't unsee them. In the episode movies, when Bandit, Bluey, and Bingo are buying tickets and popcorn, the cinema wall behind them is clearly red, with several movie posters displayed. But later on, when they return for more popcorn, that same wall has suddenly changed to purple, matching the rest of the theater. You might think they simply walked to another part of the cinema, but that's impossible. Unless the worker at the counter has an identical twin doing the same job. There's another error in that same episode. When the wall is red, there are two posters. One resembling a Mario-style game featuring a dog version of Princess Peach and another that looks like a romantic movie. But in the later shot, when the wall turns purple, the posters have completely changed. Now there's a poster with a little bee and another that looks like a detective film. Again, you could argue it's a different spot in the cinema. But watch the next mistake closely, because it proves they're in the exact same place both times. In both scenes, the same fridge appears, with green bottles on top and yellow ones below, plus the same $4 sign above the shelf. But in the second appearance, there's now another $4 sign inside the fridge, which wasn't there earlier. In the episode Backpackers, when Bandit goes to buy croissants, Bingo's spots are normal when they reach the stall, one on her head and a round one on her back. But when Bandit takes out his wallet, those two spots merge into a single blotch for a second. As soon as the camera zooms out, they separate again as if nothing happened. In the same moment, when Bandit grabs the banana, Bluey's back spots appear further back and almost out of view. Yet when the shot changes, the two spots are suddenly on the side of her body again, somehow instantly shifting position. In Sheepdog, a sheep wanders around the healer home, and oddly, it looks a bit like Bandit. Bingo tries to feed it grass, holding out a large handful. The sheep leans in to munch happily. But the moment it takes the grass, Bingo's entire hand vanishes. Not just hidden, gone. It looks less like the sheep ate the grass and more like it accidentally swallowed her hand too. In surprise, several tiny mistakes happen in a single short scene. First, the oven handle is empty. But when the camera cuts to Bingo, a towel suddenly appears on the oven. Then, when Bandit enters, the towel disappears again. Also look at the long dog sticker and the bee sticker. At first, the long dog is below the bee, and one cut later, it has jumped above it. The stickers seem to move on their own like they're alive. In the sign, when Frisky gets upset with Uncle Rad and calls off the wedding, she leaves to be alone. Chili and the girls follow to keep her company. As the camera zooms out, you can see a bench with a dog sitting and eating something. Moments later, when the shot widens again with only Bluey, Frisky, and Chili present, the bench and the dog disappear completely. They're simply gone, vanished into thin air. Now for a funny one. In Favorite Thing, look closely at Bingo's plate. There are 4 cherry tomatoes. She tries to stab one with her fork, one drops to the floor, and another flies and splats onto Bandit's head. So there should be 2 tomatoes left, right? But when the angle changes, the plate magically shows 4 tomatoes again. It's literal tomato multiplication. In Magic, Bluey teaches Bingo how to use magic so she can make Chili play with her. Later, Bluey and Bingo decide to use their magic on Bandit. As the girls approach, Bandit and Pat are setting up the yard. If you look behind them, you can see small patches of soil scattered across the grass. But when the scene changes, they disappear, only to reappear moments later. And that's not all. After Bluey and Bingo come across Chile, they decide to use magic on her too. Bluey orders Chile to go to the living room. When Bluey uses magic on Chile, Chile slides onto the living room floor. Now, let's look at the floor here. As we can see, there are 3 papers and 2 crayons scattered. But the mistake is in the very next scene, both crayons and one of the papers disappear. And again, seconds later, when Chili gets back up on her feet, the crayons magically reappear. Seriously, this episode has got the perfect name. Bluey is nearly spotless. Nearly. Because once you notice the animation goofs, you simply can't ignore them anymore. The next slip-up is absolutely hilarious, and the one to blame is poor Bandit. In The Claw, Bandit plays pretend with Bluey and Bingo, acting as a claw machine. After the kids attack him for refusing to hand over endless ice cream bowls, Bandit smashes his leg on a table. Look closely. He hits his right leg, yet he lifts his left leg in pain. And later at the dinner table, it's his right knee that's bandaged. Come on, animators. Bandit deserves some mercy. In Shadowlands, Bluey, Coco, and Snickers play a game where they must stay in the shadows to avoid the crocodile-filled sunny grass. During one shot where the kids are trapped on a tree shadow, we see their mums sitting on a blanket under a tree. Focus on how they're positioned. Here, Snickers and Coco's mums are facing the kids. But a few moments later, when the kids start howling for help and the camera cuts to the mums, their backs are suddenly turned toward the kids. Just seconds ago, they were looking right at them. Back to the sign. Another error appears when Bluey sits in the car and finds out the house is being sold. In the first shot, there is a button clearly visible on the seat beside her. But when the camera zooms out and we look at the same spot again, the button has disappeared completely. In Rug Island, Bluey and Bingo pretend they live on a deserted island in the backyard and discover Bandit washed ashore. Bandit needs to unleash his inner child so he can join their make-believe world. Near the end, when Bandit returns from the pretend island and watches the girls from the house, there's a tree visible in the background. But in the next shot, that tree is gone. A second earlier, it was definitely there. Stranger still, a moment later, the tree comes back again. It's like the tree decided to play hide and seek. In Trampoline, Bluey and Bingo bounce around on the trampoline with Bandit. In one scene where Bluey and Bingo are running across it, a tiny mistake pops up. The instant Bluey dives forward, the back spot on her body suddenly jumps to her belly. Maybe the spot took a bounce too. In Backpackers, Bandit and Chili think back to the days when they traveled together before having kids. Now, instead of backpacks, they're hauling their daughters plus socks and a muffin. Notice the toys near Bandit's feet and behind Chili's tail, left behind by Bluey and Bingo. But in the next shot, the toys vanish completely, even though nobody moves to pick them up. The animators clearly forgot to place them back. In Fruit Bat, there's a very interesting animation mistake. In a scene where Bandit is sleeping on the living room floor, Chili is next to him with her hockey stick. Everyone knows she loves field hockey. She's taping the stick, and you can see several layers of tape already. But when Bluey walks into the room, the yellow tape suddenly disappears, as if Chili never wrapped it at all, even though she just did. It changes instantly from one frame to the next. Looks like the animators forgot the stick was supposed to be taped.